Chase, you were talking about this Grace 240, and it's been a pretty popular glide bait. I know my eyes got open to this bait, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the Grace 240, this is the most tunable glide I've ever seen in my life. It's also the easiest glide I've ever worked in my life, and it's one of the hottest glides in Japan, and it's gonna be an easy one to pick up if you're new to glide baits. This would be probably the one I would recommend first. If you're an expert at glide baits, also recommend you pick one of these up and see how you like it. But I think the biggest thing to note with the 240 is it's a fully tunable bait. So you're gonna get more speed range out of this bait, as well as fully tunable action with the bait. So what does that mean? It's a triple joint. That's probably the most confusing part about it, because we're used to double jointed glide baits. The reason for the triple joint is so that you can customize the action of the bait. You notice here I've got this frost pearl one here, and I've got a 2mm joint in the back and a 1mm joint in the front. I've got this one here that's got no joint pads in it, so loose and tight. And you can see, just based on the pitch of that bait, you're able to change the angle of every joint on the bait and really tune how fast and choppy this bait works, or how wide and slow it glides. So you're gonna, yeah.
When it comes out of the box, it's gonna be like this, no pads, and it's gonna be really choppy. Fast.
Yep. And to be honest with you, it's a touch too choppy for me out of the box. So what I like to do, if you're looking to run kind of a good standard all-around setting where you can go wide and short, fast chops, is either a 1mm joint in the back joint or a 2mm joint pad in the back joint.
But again, just to show you guys, I mean, when that 2mm pad is in there, that back joint has hardly any movement to it. So that almost turns it into a 2-joint bait instead of a 3-joint bait, just by adding those pads back there.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how to add those pads, it comes on like a nice little sticky thing here. So you take one of the pads out, and you're just gonna pop that thing down right onto that back joint like so, and then you can actually kind of take the bait and work that pad in there. You just want the bait dry, and then you can kind of take that hardtail, press it down, and that thing's padded up. If we want to put one in the other side, we're just gonna pop that out, and we've now stiffened that bait up to the point where we can get it to move wider, and then when we need to chop it, we can chop it fast. The other thing guys will do, if you want it to move more forward when you move it, then you're gonna add probably a 0.5 or a 1mm to that front joint. So now instead of chopping like 90, it's gonna actually move forward. So that becomes a really great way to catch them when you're covering flats. You throw it out there and basically work it in, and it's gonna cover a lot of water for you. But when you're around cover and need those short little tight chops, you know, you can leave that pad off that front joint and really manipulate the bait the way you want to. So if I'm new to this bait and wanting to just play with it, I would play with it a little bit out of the box, but my favorite thing to do and what we would recommend is grab either a 1mm or a 2mm joint pad and put it in that back joint. You're gonna find this bait is probably one of the most fun baits that I've ever thrown. But on top of that, so it comes out of the box with a soft tail. So that soft tail is gonna bend a lot. That's gonna allow you to incorporate a lot of speed into the bait. But they also offer a hardtail. Okay, so
again, more bend, more speed.
Yep.
With the joints, with the tail.
So that soft tail, you can see I can flap it really good. That hardtail, kind of twangy and springy. What that's gonna do is gonna allow the bait to glide even further or wider, you know, each direction. And that changes out super easy. Then you just pop that hardtail in, and now I've changed a really tight, fast chopping bait into a wide glide without tying on a new lure.
Without having to buy a new lure.
Right.
30 seconds and a couple pads, and you've completely changed the action of it.
And that to me is where the magic is. I mean, I don't know of really any baits that you can do that with.
No.
So for a guy who's not like this super into swim baits guy, but tournament guy like me, that's super appealing. And this fall, it was amazing. Like the soft tail, I was convinced I never needed a hardtail, and then when you get in that cold water, it's amazing how well like that slow glide works. Like this thing was by far the best lure I threw most of the fall between this and a map jig.
Well, and a guy like me who's really just kind of getting their feet wet with all of this big bait stuff, it's so versatile and, you know, allowing me to customize it and play with it and figure out what the fish really do like. Then I can kind of hone in on other baits or, you know, other stuff that, you know, only does that one thing.
Right.
But this allowed me to try so much different stuff right off the bat. It was, you know, amazing to my learning experience and gaining knowledge with glides and big baits.
I would agree with that. And I think the other thing that's intimidating about baits like these is I felt like when I can't see the bait anymore, I was worried and lacked confidence on how that bait was working in the water. So like this bait's designed to really push water so you can feel the bait really well. But I think the biggest thing is it doesn't seem to blow out as much on me when I'm not looking at it. So I think if you're new to glide fishing and you're sculpting or you're in a situation where you can't see your bait, having confidence that it's working and doing the right thing is a big deal. If you haven't yet picked up the Grace 240 from Galapagos, this was designed and tested in the most pressured waters of Lake Biwa, and you can find yours at omniafishing.com.